Hi everyone! So lately I have found myself having a little bit of a struggle in a leadership role. I freely admit that I am not a person who has a huge wealth of experience when it comes to being a leader. Many years ago in my 20s, I was a classroom supervisor at a preschool, which meant that technically at work, I was a leader. Nowadays, I am the chairperson of our chorus committee and I lead the section that I sing with. But beyond that, I don't have a huge amount of leadership experience. I tend to be somebody who enjoys being part of a team rather than the person giving out the instructions to that team. But as I've recently definitely realised, there are areas of my life in which I do need to take charge and be a leader. And that's left me wondering what kind of leader I actually am. Now, classically, people tend to talk about four main types of leader: autocratic, democratic, laissez-faire, and transformational. But what are they, and which one am I? Right, so we are doing that, and we are doing it exactly the way I have just told you. Okay, any questions? Jane, put your hand down. That was rhetorical, okay? I've just told you how we're doing it. Right, off you go. I don't think this is me on the whole. And I say on the whole because I do believe that sometimes, for example, when there's a strict deadline looming, or if you find yourself in a crisis, there are times when you need somebody to be very decisive and just say, look, this is what needs to be done. This is how it needs to be done. Let's get it done. And I am capable of doing that in those situations. I have got a fairly clear head most of the time in a crisis, and I can say, okay, we need to get this sorted. You do this, I'll do that, and together we'll fix it. But those are the occasions where it absolutely has to be done that way, because for most of the time, I would say I'm not somebody who's particularly dictatorial. I would much rather be collaborative in the way I work and ask other people for their contributions and suggestions. I would say it takes quite extreme circumstances for me to suddenly become all, it's my way or the highway. Okay, I am really excited to get cracking with this project. I have got a lot of ideas about how we can do it, but I really want to hear all of your ideas, okay? So, oh, Jane, why don't you share your ideas of how we can do this? Oh, don't make that face, Jane. I know I snapped at you in the last sketch, but I was just role-playing a different kind of leadership, that's all. Look, this is a safe space. Why don't you share how you feel with the group? I'm going to be honest, this feels a lot more like the way I do things. Like I said, I like being collaborative. I enjoy feeling like I'm in a team. And even if I'm in charge of that team, I want to give everybody an opportunity to make suggestions and share their views, because I've been in teams where the person in charge has very much not let anybody else have an opinion, and it sucks. So whilst I understand that if I am leading a group of people, the final decision on something has to be mine, I will always ask people for their input on the way to making that decision. And it's partly, like I said, because I've been on the other side of it where my opinion hasn't counted at all, but it's also because I know that I'm a fallible human being and I'm not always going to make the right decision unless I've talked it through with lots of people and had some opposite views come on board. Because you can be really convinced you're right about something, but until you've talked to the people around you who are also going to be affected by whatever it is you're working on, you might not have considered something. And it might change your viewpoint. I think being a good leader involves embracing your strengths and your weaknesses, and sometimes that means understanding the strengths that other people in your team have that maybe you lack, because they can contribute in ways that maybe you alone would not be able to do. And whilst if you've taken suggestions on board from lots of other people and made a final decision and it turns out to be the wrong call and a big mistake has been made, you still have to own it if you're in charge. But that doesn't mean you don't seek advice from other people. At least for me, I definitely am far more democratic than I am autocratic. Of course, there is a downfall to this approach, just like with any leadership style, because sometimes you can be there thinking you're doing a great thing by asking everyone for their ideas, and there are going to be people in any team you're working with who are just thinking, my God, just tell me what to do and I'll get on with it. Stop trying to make this my job. And then there's the fact that you might have, for example, 4 people on your team and you ask them all for their opinions and they've all got different suggestions and you go with one of them. The other 3 might be sitting there thinking, well, my idea was really good. Why hasn't she gone with that one? And trust me, that is definitely something I have experienced as a leader. Okay, so you all know what the task is, and I totally believe in all of you to get it done. I'm leaving Jane in charge, so any questions, direct them to her, please. Jane, you got this, girl. I'll see you later. I do think there is definitely something to be said for trying to step back and not obsessively micromanage a project. I don't try to micromanage things, but I am really awful. I have this terribly bad habit of keeping an eye on all aspects of something that's going on, and I will notice and think, oh, so-and-so was supposed to have done that, but they haven't. Oh, well, I'm not doing anything at this particular moment in time. I'll do it for them. And that's bad in many ways, because not only does it mean that they're getting away with not doing the thing they're supposed to be doing, but all I end up doing is stressing because I'm doing stuff that's not my job, and inevitably it pushes back stuff I am supposed to do, and I get frustrated. So I guess what I'm saying is, in many ways, I need to be better at this style of leadership because it will probably make me less stressed. That said, I do definitely know how to delegate, and being the chairperson of a committee, you do have to occasionally go, okay, that's a great idea. Can you sort that one out for me? Thank you. And can you do this? Because otherwise you would end up doing everything and you would just burn out. And I do try to be really confidence boosting in the way I talk to anybody when I'm leading a team, because everybody needs to feel like you believe they can do their job without you having to lean over them and watch them while they do it. That said, I'm also really super aware of not letting anybody feel abandoned, because I don't like the idea of people feeling like, oh, I've got to do this and Emma's just told me to do it and then she's just disappeared. I mean, for example, there might be an aspect of a project that somebody genuinely doesn't know how to complete, and if you're not approachable and they can't come to you and ask, that's a problem. But yeah, I do feel like this form of leadership definitely has pluses and negatives, but the pluses of it I need to embrace more, because like I said, if I have mentioned to somebody, oh, you need to get that done please, and they haven't done it, and I've maybe even said again, did you manage to do that? And they still haven't, I will just end up doing it myself, and then I will just get stressed that I've had to do it myself, and yeah, maybe I need to back off a bit. Okay, so we now all know the goal we're aiming for. Let's really get inspired and let's crush it. We can all do this together. I believe in this team. Was that a hand up, Jane? Okay, fire away. When is lunch? I mean, that is a very good question. Who's hungry? I'm hungry. Okay, let's get to work and smash that goal so we can go to the canteen and grab that sandwich. I do genuinely quite passionately believe that people work at their best when they have a common goal. So there are definitely elements of this leadership style in me. For example, if we're at chorus and myself and Leslie say to everybody, okay, we want to compete in this music festival, then it means that everybody has the same target. We're like, oh, okay, so we need to know the songs for that festival. We need to, make sure that we're really performing the songs well for that festival. That's our goal, and everyone's on board, and it's exciting, and everybody gets a buzz about it, and we just all work better. But the problem that I have in any form of leadership role, if I have a team that I'm supposed to be in charge of, it doesn't matter if 95% of that team are all on board with the goal we're aiming for, and they are all inspired by the same thing. I will zero in on the one person who just thinks the goal is a load of rubbish and doesn't understand why we're bothering to put so much effort in, and I will spend hours and hours stressing about how I can make that person care more and have them on board with us, and all I do again is make myself feel ill with stress. At the end of the day, as the saying goes, you can lead the horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. And sometimes in situations like this, over the years, I have found myself ignoring all the people who are on my wavelength and sharing the same goal and working really hard to get there, because I'm just looking at that one horse and thinking, why won't you drink?
No.
But as I said, I do definitely have a bit of a let's rally the troops vibe to my leadership style. And yeah, there are probably a lot of elements of transformational leadership that I use when I am leading any group of people. I just, also slowly get driven mad by the one person who isn't on board.
No.
I guess most people who find themselves in any kind of leadership role really don't neatly fit into just one of these leadership styles. We probably just pick and choose bits of not just these 4 leadership styles, but a variety of different leadership styles depending on the situation. And I guess that's the mark of a good leader, being able to recognise when you need to be a bit more autocratic and when you can afford to be democratic, or when you need to be a little bit more, come on, we can do this, and boost everyone's confidence, and when you need to back off and just let people get on with it. What about you? Are you a leader in your workplace or perhaps in one of your hobbies? Do you lead anyone in any aspect of your life? What's the style you favour? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. You see, I'm not pressing you to do that. I'm not saying you must do that right now. I'm being very democratic about it. Feel free. You can click on my floaty head if you would like to subscribe, and last week's video is over there. I'm going to go and I will talk to you all next week. Take care, everybody. Bye.